Hey, how's it going? Today I'm making a video showing you how to actually improve Valorant. Now I know this video has been made a million times, but I still do think there's a lot of information out here that's not being said by these bigger channels. Now I'm not necessarily saying that these guys made by these bigger channels are bad. I'm just saying there's a lot of information out there that still can be like useful to a lot of players that maybe isn't being conveyed in the best way for them. So I'm going to try to break this down to three more simple steps, so no matter where you are in Valorant, you can kind of pick up this information and just run with it. So without wasting any more time, I'm going to get into the first one. So this first one is definitely for newer players or players that just aren't really the best at the game. The first thing I would say is definitely just master the basics of the game. And what I mean by this is go into the range, find a couple agents that you like playing, feel comfortable using, and then go and take some of the more common guns that you'd see in games, like your Vandals, your Phantom, maybe some Spectre, Stinger, whatever. Okay, so most of you are already going to be past this. I'd say go into step two whenever you can find one, two agents that you're feeling comfortable playing in the same role. Maybe three, depending on what role you choose to play. Alright, so step two. This is what almost all of you are going to be at right now, and there's a reason for that. Because it's practice. I know this might really suck to hear, but just like anything in life, Valorant takes practice to get better at. Whenever I say you need to practice, I'm not saying you just need to sit there and mindlessly play Aim Lab for 5 hours. I forget who said this to me, but I think it was like a teacher or a coach or something. They said just because you're practicing like a lot of time, doesn't mean that you're necessarily practicing good. Because like a good high quality hour of practice, like really putting effort into it, is worth, countless hours of just mindless sitting there doing the same action, not really thinking about what you're doing. So instead of sitting there mindlessly playing grid shot for hours, go into a deathmatch and really think about what you're doing. Think about your crosshair placement, where you're moving around the map, how you're moving around the map. Now, I'm not saying if you just sit there and grind like something like aim labs or something, you won't get better, because you will definitely get better at aiming, hopefully. But what I'm saying is if you have high quality practice, it's definitely worth more than just a lot of like mindless practice, if that makes sense. Some examples of more high quality practice would be things like, like going around a map working on your crosshair placement. Just an empty custom game map, just walk around, making sure you're aiming at head level. Like I said, deathmatch. Deathmatch is a great way because it does simulate gunfights more than something, like aim labs or whatever. Now, even though I just said aim labs might not be the best way to practice, it still can be a very good tool to understand, like, what you need to be doing better with aiming. Whether if it's like, flicking, tracing, like whatever it is. It is a great tool to figure out what you need to be doing better, but it shouldn't be your only tool to rely on it improving at the game. Now moving on to step three. I think this is definitely the most important step because this is what separates, your average players from people that are really, really good at the game. And now this is where you got to start intaking as much information as you can about Valorant. VOD reviewing your own games, VOD reviewing pro games, analyzing what works and what doesn't, what's the current meta for each map, how agents play, like in certain team comps, how certain team comps work, what counters what, just intake as much information as you physically can about Valorant to understand the game on a high level. One of the best ways that I found, especially to watch pro gameplay, is there's this YouTube channel that breaks down a lot of pro games and, like, really shows what works. I'll leave a link in the description for anybody that's interested in that. It's a great channel. You should go check it out. Now, I'm not saying necessarily perfectly compare your ranked games to pro play, because even at the highest level of ranked, like Radiant and stuff, there's still a giant gap between that and pro play. So don't be one of those guys that in Agent Select saying, I'm dodging because you didn't pick someone that's meta. Like, bro, I still lock in Chamber just because I enjoy playing the agent and I still think he's fun. Obviously, still play what's fun to you, but do understand what is, currently meta, and it might actually help you to play more meta things. For reviewing your own games, just use whatever, like OBS, whatever, record your own games, like, see what you're doing, see what's working, see what's not working. And I think that there's actually like a Valorant subreddit or something, or it might be like a side one. I don't know. I'll also link that if I can find it, where you could like upload your own VOD review games, and other people would watch it and give you notes on it, tell you what to improve on. So to end off step three, I'm just gonna throw some general tips in here that I didn't really put in the video, but I'll just sprinkle in. So the first one I could definitely think of is you should never go into like actually ranked without playing like a death match or going into the range or something. You just need to warm up just to like get your reflexes back, everything. Another one is definitely take breaks in the game. If you play for like 10 hours a day, you're just gonna play worse the longer you go. Like whatever it is, even playing a couple games. Like you're just gonna be playing worse the longer you play. So it's always good to take breaks. And the last really note I'll leave here is don't be just that toxic teammate. I know it can be tilting sometimes having the Instalock arena. You know the stereotype. I'm not going into it. You know the stereotype. Just, being toxic doesn't really help anybody. You're only going to get more tilted and bring it to your own games and just lose more RR. It's just not worth it, man. That's about it. Just remember at the end of the day, it's a video game. It's meant to have fun. Don't take it super seriously. Just sit there, have fun, play the game. It's the best way to improve because you'll just keep wanting to play the game and improve quicker. Also, all the links I talk about stuff, that's going to be in the description. I also started streaming on Twitch sometimes. It's not only Valorant, it's just sometimes some random games. Just have fun there. You don't have to check it out if you wanted to. Links there too.